is up, everybody? Welcome to She Found It. So welcome to another experience video. If you haven't seen my last two, I'm going to link them right here so you can go check them out. This series of videos is definitely meant to be a very open and honest look into my life and the things that I've been through, and a way for me to connect with other people out there who have gone through or are going through the same things that I am. With that being said, I know the title is very intriguing, and this is something that I always get the biggest shock on when I talk about with anyone, is that me and my partner do not have sex and we are in a long relationship. So we've been together for 4.5 years. We are now engaged, and our relationship in that regard has been very interesting. I'm actually I can't even believe I'm talking about this, but the whole premise is to open up. So, where to begin? When I met Mike, he is a very deeply religious man, and he really turned me into the faith, and that was something that I so desperately needed, and my faith now is something that's very important to me and I do hold dear. Growing up, I was kind of in and out of church. Through my teenage years, I didn't take it as seriously. And in my early adulthood, in my previous relationships, that was never really something that was in the forefront of my mind, unfortunately. And so, I will start off by saying that my religious beliefs and how I feel about my faith and my connection to God is really important. And so that played into the decision not to have sex before marriage. Now, that doesn't mean that I am a virgin, and I have had sex in my previous relationships. When me and Mike first met, that wasn't off the table initially, so I'll start by saying that because I think that that's fair. But we made the decision together that it would be in our best interest to wait. And it's been one of the most powerful and most impactful decisions I've ever made in my life. And the reason being is that not only did it teach me a different type of discipline and self-control, but it showed me that sex is not important in a relationship. By no means is it as important as society wants you to believe that it is. And this is it was an epiphany for me. And so we've decided that we are going to wait until we're married. And it's been now 4 years since we've last engaged in the act. But I think what's really interesting about this experience is that you have to find other ways to be intimate with each other. And there are different levels of intimacy. Not everything is about sex, right? Intimacy can be touching and cuddling and really having a deep connection. And the one thing that has really, I guess, changed my mindset about the whole thing is that we have had to find within each other the things that we really truly love, because it's not okay, we get into an argument and then it's let's just hash it out in bed. Do you know what I mean? And I know that happens in a lot of relationships. That's happened in relationships that I've been in too, but you get caught in this cycle of the physicality of your relationship. But you want to know something? When you get older, right? I want to be with Mike until I'm literally dead. We want to get married and we want to live into old age, and sex may not be the thing that's going to hold you together in old age, right? So what are you going to do? What are you going to do if your whole relationship, even 75% of your relationship, was held together through your physical attraction to each other and the need to have sex with each other? What are you going to do? I thought about that long and hard and was there's more to a relationship than just the physicality of it. And, part of the other reason why we decided that we weren't going to do it and we were going to wait is because I didn't want to go on the birth control pill. Now, if you have watched my other experience video where I talk about my world's worst period, that is part of the reason as well as to why I was not on the pill, is because I don't want to take that into my system. I want to fix the root of the problem instead of just putting a band-aid on it. So not being on the pill isn't conducive as well with having sex and not wanting to have a child. Like, I am in absolutely no position to have a child right now, nor was I 4.5 years ago when I met Mike. That was just not on the table, and I'm not gonna play with the chances of possibly that happening. So that, combined with following my faith and my beliefs, it just worked. And for me and Mike, it's been a really, really positive experience for us. I love him in a way that I've never loved anybody in my entire life. It has really grown this like crazy deep connection. And I'm not gonna lie, like in the very beginning, it was tough, right? Like, you have these like quote unquote like routines and habits when it comes to your sexual preferences and like what you want to do. And so initially when we decided that we were going to hold off, like, yeah, it was hard. Like, people would ask me, like, I've had friends ask me, like, how do you do it? Like, how do you sleep next to somebody and you don't want to just like, and you know what? Like, it was very difficult at first. I'm not even going to lie. Like, very difficult, especially for me, but we worked through it, and we would literally pray. Like, when we would get into those really like deep moments of being like, are we gonna go there? We would be like, okay, like, no, like, let's say a prayer. And honestly, that actually worked. And now we're at a point in our relationship where it's like sex isn't even on, like, it's not even on the table. Like there's absolutely no chance that we're gonna do it. So I don't even think about it. And you can say whatever you want. Maybe you think that that's unhealthy, but maybe there's something that you need to look inside of you and figure out why it is that you feel like you absolutely need sex. Like, people say that it's like your like human instinct. It's your, you know, it's your primal instinct is to just like go around like fucking all the time. Like, that's not the truth. You know what I mean? I think if you want to have a very meaningful relationship, I honestly suggest just try it. Like, I know a lot of girls, because I've had girlfriends and I've been in this position too, where we're like, I'm gonna hold out. Like, I'm just gonna wait before we get into bed because like I want him to respect me. Isn't that ironic? Like I've heard it so many times from so many girls, and it's like, but then why do it? Like, if you really want to grow that deep connection with that person and like want them to fall in love with you and love you for who you are and like your personality and all the quirks and weird things, take sex out of the equation. Because you know what? Honestly, like, the truth be told, like, you'll see real quick who wants to stick around and who doesn't. And I think that's a testament to people's, it's a testament to somebody's discipline and control. Like, I'm sorry, but my personal opinion is, if you think that running around having sex with as many people as you want is like your right and your freedom, you don't have any control. You do not have control within yourself. You allow your emotions and your physical needs to control you. So I definitely fell into the category before of being like, I want to know what my physical compatibility is with somebody before I decide that I'm gonna settle down with them. But the reality is, there's been a lot of studies done on couples that have been together for a long time. And not only does faith play a big factor into the marriages that last the longest, people who wait to have sex before they're married tend to have longer, more fulfilling, more meaningful, long-lasting marriages. That's just the reality. That's the studies. So in a society where divorce is incredibly high, we're constantly looking for the next best thing. We're constantly chasing that, like, wanting to be in love and fall in love. And like, I think that it's just a conversation worth having. It's a conversation worth starting, and it's worth it to try, right? Like, it's worth it to try to see, like, can you do it? Like, do you have the self-discipline? Because physical compatibility is gonna come. Like, when you're dating and you fall in love and you're with somebody for a really long time, like, whether you don't need to figure out if they're going to be good in bed, because when you really deeply connect with somebody and you love them in that way, like, they are going to be good in bed. It is going to be good. You'll be able to communicate better with your wants and your needs because you trust that person and because you love that person. So I just think that I just wanted to get on here and talk about this because there's something to be said in the research, and I'm an example, right? Like, I have this very loving, respectful relationship, one that I've never been in before. And yeah, like, our faith definitely helps us, but I think being able to restrain from wanting to just jump on someone all the time and really just looking at them in their eyes and like loving them affectionately and deeply in a different way, it's been amazing. And this is a girl who wasn't in those types of relationships before, and they were never working. You know, I was constantly dating guys who just didn't give a shit, who all they wanted to do was get in bed. They didn't care about me. They didn't care about my body or respect me in any way. And I was the girl that was always just looking for someone to fall in love with. And luckily for me, Mike was my knight in shining armor. And when I met him, you know, I was in a pivotal point in my life where I was making all of these changes, these drastic changes, because I wanted to better myself. So it's like God put him into my lap at that point and was like, okay, you're ready. And I'm very, very, very grateful for that. But I think that not having sex in our relationship has been so crazy good. Like, and it's not to say that I can't wait for the day, like, I want to marry him so bad, but I also want to have a family with him and I want to have children with him, and it's going to be so special when we're able to do that. So with all that being said, as that was a huge mouthful, I didn't want to do a super long video on this, but I do want to start the conversation, open the conversation. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me. Hit me up on Instagram, send me an email. I am 100% always here to talk. I'm interested to hear what you have to say or how you feel about that. And yeah, so make sure you subscribe because there's going to be more experience videos coming up. I'm going to be talking about drugs and suicide in the family and growing up without a dad and how all of those things have affected me. And I want to connect with people and I want us to all feel a little bit more human. I also have another really interesting series coming up. So it's going to be called 100 Questions. And it is up to the interviewee's fate that out of 100 questions, they pick 5 out of a hat and they answer them in their deeply personal and interesting and curious questions. So the whole premise of that is to allow us to open up and connect differently with each other. So if you are in the Toronto area and you are willing to participate in something like that on camera and knowing that it's going to be on YouTube, please hit me up because I am interested to hear your responses. And I'm really excited to do this project because I want to connect with people and I want all of us to connect with each other and grow this community. So like, follow, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for listening. I will see you on the next experience video. Bye.